This video is a simple step-by-step guide on how to build your own prop hunt map in Fortnite Creative. The example in this video will be fairly simple, but if you'd like to check out a larger scale prop hunt game, then check out the map code in the description and check out my showcase of it at the end of this video. If you find any of my content useful or enjoyable, please do like and subscribe, and if you really want to help me out, please consider using code RAFEJAMMY in the Fortnite shop. These are all the devices you'll need for a traditional prop hunt game. I recommend starting by laying out all these devices in one corner of your map, so you have them all ready to go as we continue through the tutorial. 2 team settings and inventory devices, 2 class designer devices, spawn pads, just lay 2 down for now, a timer device, a HUD Message Device, 2 player counters, and an endgame device. The Prop-O-Matic device is only needed if you want to change any settings related to how the prop gun works in-game. However, I recommend not using this device for most games, as players are used to the gun's default settings. Depending on how dark your map design is, you may also need customizable lighting devices. Time to design and build your map. For the sake of this tutorial, I am keeping my map design very basic, as we are here to focus on the mechanics and settings, not the design side, which will be unique to each of your builds. When you do build your map, just remember a few key things. Don't make the overall play area too big. If you do, it becomes too big of an advantage for the props team. To help plan your overall map look and feel, I recommend that you explore the galleries and prefabs in the content menus. If you have a theme in mind already, evaluate if there will be enough relevant building materials and props to match your idea. Of course, if you are using UEFN to edit your maps, you can import more props as needed. Most prop hunt games have the same gameplay mechanics, so your design is arguably the most important aspect of your map in making it stand out. So make it unique, fun, and a map people want to play with their friends. If you have doors on your maps that lead to places you don't want players going, you can use the lock device from the Creative menu to keep these locked and shut, as shown in the video here. And finally, with any maps that have outside areas, make sure to use barriers to stop people escaping the game zone itself. This can either be done by placing individual barriers as walls, or using one large barrier device as a box around the game zone. When building your prop hunt map, you will need to decide beforehand where and how your hunters will spawn. In this tutorial map, I have decided to simply use the path outside the house and have surrounded it with hedges to keep it enclosed. Now taking one of our player spawn pad devices, we are going to place it in this new area. Open up the device settings and set Enabled During Phase to Always. For this map, I am going to have Hunters as Team 1 and Class 1 for all device settings, so add those on here. Set Visible in-game to Off, and that's all the settings you need on these. Now copy and paste enough of these within the area to meet your maximum team size number. How to set up the Hunter release timer. As we are already here, let's set up the timer and lock device combination that will release hunters into the game area when we want them to. I'm going to place the timer above the door and set it to 10 seconds in this example, although in a real game you will want this to be around 30 seconds typically. You can name the timer if you want, as I have done here to Hunters Released. Set the timer to count down, Start at game start to on, Can interact to no, Applies to everyone, Success on timer end to true, Visible during game to only timer, Display time in seconds, and Show on HUD to Yes. This will ensure the props can see the timer countdown too. Now on the door, you'll need a lock device. Add one, then in the settings make sure it is locked at the start. Then under the Functions tab, go to Unlock when receiving from. Select Device, Timer. Then under Select Event, pick the one that says On Success. Now scroll down to Open when receiving from and repeat the above selections. If your map has a double door, you may need to copy the lock device so it is on both sides, like I have here. Now if we give this a quick game test, we can see the timer above the door and in our heads-up display. We can also see the doors are locked and closed as the round starts. Then once the timer is over, they fly open. To make a custom message appear on screen for all players when the hunters are released, we are going to use the heads-up display or HUD device. Under the Function tab, again we want it to show when receiving from the timer device and on success. Then under the main HUD device settings, you simply set your message and any text formatting. Make sure message recipient is set to all or just the prop team and decide how long you want the message to be displayed for. A few seconds should be plenty. Adding more props to your map. Lay out any relevant prop galleries on the outside of your game zone so you can see them and grab them easily. In my example, I'm using Haunted Gallery props. You want your maps to have a good mix of prop sizes, and you want multiples of each prop placed, so that the prop team have a better chance at finding camouflage. To lay out your props, simply use the phone device to select and copy a prop, then paste copies of the prop around your island. It's important to note you will need drops set to on as you place your props, so they don't end up floating above the ground. For your prop team player spawns, set them to always, team 2, class 2, and then visible in game to off. Now simply copy and paste the spawn pad in different places around the game area. Now for the island settings needed to make sure your prop hunt game mechanics actually work. These are the only settings you will need to change away from the default options under the My Island settings in the Creative menu. Under the Mode tab, change Teams to 2, Rounds to however many you want. Under the Round tab, you can choose how long you want each round to last. Under the Player tab, head to the Build Mode section and set Allow Building to None. Then under the Equipment section, set Start with Pickaxe to No. Then scroll down and set Environment Damage to Off and Enable Fire to No. Now for the final device settings on the devices we laid out earlier in the tutorial. In your first team settings and inventory device, name it Hunters. Set team number to 1. Now set class ID to 1. Grant items on respawn to Yes. Equip granted item to first item. Start with pickaxes up to you depending on what weapons you want your hunters to have. No shields are needed and keep movement speed normal. I recommend turning off sprinting for hunters to create a more balanced game. I have my infinite reserve ammo set to Yes, but you can limit hunter ammo if preferred. For item drop or pick up, set both to No. Then for the first class designer device, set it to 1 and name it Hunters. Then from your creative menu, pick the weapons and consumables you want your hunters to have. Just add them to your inventory, then drop them on the device. For the prop team, to save time repeating settings, just copy the first team settings device you've already made, then go into settings and change the name to props and set the team to 2. Set the default class identifier to 2. You should also have down but not out off, and you can give props a little more movement speed if you want them to have more of an advantage in matches. Now in the second class designer, label it as 2 and class name to props. In the Creative menu under the Items tab, you can find the Prop-O-Matic gun. Add it to your inventory, then drop it on the class designer. The player counter devices are used in conjunction with the round ending devices to end the game if one of the teams reaches 0 players. On one player counter device, simply set the target player count to 0 and the counted team to team 1. Then copy the device and just change the settings so it says team 2. Open the endgame device settings and set what to end to end round. Then under the Functions tab, open Activate when receiving from and select Device. Choose On Player Counter, then On Count Succeeds. Then repeat the same setting for Player Counter 2. Now all that's left is to test your map. If you are editing on your own, like I am, you can add in test dummies to the map. To do this, go to the Debug tab in Island Settings and switch Debug to On. Scroll down to Test Players on Start and set to Fill, and Test Player Behavior to Random Movement. Now give it a try. If you'd like to experience a full prop hunt map I built more than 2 years ago, but have only just been able to publish, then please go check it out. It's called Prop Hunt Party Mansion, and the map code is in the description. The map is based around a French chateau I once visited for a friend's wedding. In addition to the standard prop hunt settings, I built it so that the map expands with every 2 rounds played. Thanks again for watching. I really hope you found it useful. Please do like and subscribe if you did, and if you really want to help me out, please remember to use code RAFEJAMMY next time you're in the Fortnite item shop. And good luck with your prop hunt map builds.